Hello, this is Pastor Georgy at pointedeternity.com and welcome back to another Strategic Trends update. In my last update, I had actually shared with you what America, Iran and China had spoken at the UN General Assembly. This September 27th, Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett addressed the UN General Assembly. And among the things he addressed, including COVID and some other things, the primary thing which stood out was the threat of Iran. Indirectly, the security of Israel being threatened by the rise of Iran in the Middle East. He said Iran's nuclear weapon program is at a watershed moment, at a critical moment, and that all red lines have been crossed. He also said they enrich uranium to the level of 60%, which is one step short of weapons-grade material, and they are not allowing inspectors into their facilities. Experts, especially nuclear experts, have already said that Iran is only hardly 2 months away from enriching enough nuclear material so as to build a nuclear bomb. Now, Bennett said, words do not stop centrifuge from spinning. What was he referring to? He was referring indirectly to the Biden administration's attempts at getting Iran into the nuclear deal, the talks that are going on. And he also said that time is being wasted. Even as these talks are going on, Iran is continuing to do its activities fast enough so as to build that weapons-grade nuclear bomb. He has said there are those in the world who seem to view Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons as an inevitable reality, or they have just become tired of hearing about it. But Israel does not have that privilege. We will not allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon. Now, these were his words at the UN General Assembly. Is Bennett hinting at a military action so as to stop Iran? Something to watch out for. People of God, from his speech, it's very clear that Israel is determined not to allow Iran to acquire nuclear weapons capability, because Israel knows once Iran acquires that nuclear capability, Iran wishes to use it against Israel. Israel is very aware about that. And that's why Israel will stop Iran. Israel will try to stop Iran from getting weapons-grade nuclear capability. Bennett also talked about Ibrahim Raisi, the new Iranian president. And he called him as the butcher of Tehran and pointed straight at Raisi's history of killing his own people, the political dissidents in the late 80s, when Raisi was one of the instrumental figures behind killing his own people in Iran. Bennett quoted from one of the witnesses who was in that Iranian massacre. He quoted directly from one of the witnesses saying that when Raisi finished a round of murder, he would throw a party and start eating cream cakes. That was his description of how Raisi's intentions were. The final thing he addressed, what Bennett addressed, was the rise of the Shiite crescent spreading around the Middle East through the proxies of Iran, and all of them heavily armed against Israel. Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Shia militia in Iraq as well as Syria, and the Houthis in Yemen, all of them armed, equipped and supported by Iran so as to destroy Israel. And he also referred to that drone threat from Houthis against Saudi Arabia and how other proxies of Iran are using drones to attack American troops, to attack Israeli ships in that region. Now, Bennett said Iran plans to arm its proxies in Yemen, Iraq, Syria and Lebanon with hundreds and then thousands of these deadly drones. This speech comes after last week's Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas' speech at the UN. At UN General Assembly, Abbas gives Israel 1 year to withdraw to 1967 lines. Abbas had threatened Israel with action at the International Court of Justice if a Palestinian state is not formed. And he has given Israel 1 year. 1 year. People of God, we are living in the last days. See the pressure that is mounting against Israel. See how Israel is threatened by some very radical forces around her. See how Israel is right now being isolated. Previously it had America along with her to raise a voice or to do something in the Middle East. But now slowly it has to stand up for itself. What starts in the Middle East doesn't stop there. Things are intensifying. There's not much time left. We are living in the last moments of the last days. The Ezekiel 38 invasion is just around the corner. Now is a wonderful time to share Christ to others. First, live your life that reflects the nature of Christ, the mind of Christ. Then share the good news of Jesus to others. And if you do not know Jesus, now is a wonderful time to be saved and to be right with God. Many may say, why bring religion and Jesus and all these things into this kind of news updates? Dear people, this is not about religion. This is about a living personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And Pointer to Eternity is all about that, bringing people into a living personal relationship with Jesus for eternity. And we would continue to do this, encouraging all into a loving relationship, personal relationship with Jesus Christ. So I want to leave you with that. Continue to pray for this ministry, pray for our team. Until next time, God's grace be upon you. God bless you. And by the way, if you are blessed by this message, be sure to hit that like button. And also, if you are not yet subscribed, kindly subscribe by pressing that subscribe button and also pressing that bell notification so that you would continue to receive blessed messages and updates like this on this same channel.